could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to
Бля,
have
просто
atomic
цирк
bombs
ебаный нахуй.
and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people would throw these theological thugs out. I mean, they murder them, they oppress them for 46 years.
True.
They've yearned for freedom.
He's
I mean,
right.
they shoot
Как этот
women
сайт
because
называется,
their
который
hair is
архивы
uncovered.
дает?
They
Просто
shoot
как?
students. They just suck the oxygen from this
They
break.
just suck. Yeah, they're assholes. There's a bunch of assholes over there. Yeah, for sure. He's right. Yeah, I mean, true. Yeah, he's totally right.
Возможно, они откроют, если кто-то спалит, чтобы какую-то удобную инфу на меня наговорить. Просто нарисовать. Просто заебись. Чтобы челы такие сразу поверили. Ёбаный
They
рот.
were OGs, and they had like ventures together, like they had this pipeline, and you know, really, after that revolution in the 1979, I think that's when it changed. You're right. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't either. I looked into this because it was confusing to me too. No, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not an expert, right? I've just read a little bit about it myself.
Decision to act, to rise up at this time is the decision of the Iranian people. We decided to act because we saw enough uranium, enriched uranium, for 9 bombs. And all they had to do was weaponize them. We stopped that. We're attacking their nuclear sites.
Ну, я доиграю уже тогда.
Scientists working, it's like Hitler's nuclear scientists. Would you leave them? Of course not.
2 ults so far.
Я слишком далеко от начала игры, чтобы его пихать в отдельное видео.
I can inform you, Brett, that moments ago, we also got the chief intelligence officer and his deputy in Tehran, because we're now over the skies of Tehran. Our pilots are brave.
I think the point that I'm making by saying that is that I think that the constant guilt tripping about what happened in World War II that was awful is wearing thin on a younger audience that has a looser and looser connection to the current events reality of it happening. And that's getting so old. Yeah, that's what I'm really trying to say is that, like, you're looking at, like, for example, like, if you're 25 right now, like, you're a guy that's 25, like, maybe your great grandfather, like, think about, okay, so if you're 25, you were born in the year 2000, 1940, 1945, this was like, what, 60, 70 years ago, something like, 60 years ago. It's like 2 or 3 generations away from you. And I think constantly referencing back to that over and over, you think about, like, World War I messaging for people that are, like, around our age, right? Like 30s to 40s. I don't really think a lot of us would really have or put a lot of stock into that, would we? Like, I wouldn't, because I'm like, oh, this happened a really long time ago. Well, I think the same thing's happening for the younger people that feel this way about World War II. Same as slavery arguments? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's happening as well. And, like, as the farther away that we get from, you know, slavery, the Civil War, civil rights, Rosa Parks, etc., these things become less current events, and it becomes increasingly harder to emotionally weaponize these events in order to make people take up a cause. Like, do you guys see what I'm saying here? Because I'm seeing a tremendous amount. I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but some of the most extreme conservative people and people that are, like, aligned with, I mean, I don't like using this term, but, like, extremely right-leaning, National Socialist, you know, like, Nazi-adjacent stuff, many of them are under the age of, I'd say, 25, especially under the age of 30. It's a very young movement of people. I think it's more important events in our generation versus early mid-2000s. And here's what I think is even more interesting about it. And this is the last point. I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent, but I just want to talk about something that I've observed. So you're seeing this massive resurgence of extremely right-wing men that are young, like 25 and under. But I'm not seeing that as much with left-wing people and like women. Like, for example, if I look at those No Kings protests, it's a bunch of fucking geriatrics out there. Like this is the the nursing home busts them over so they can protest for Trump and get some nostalgia about how it was like in civil rights. I mean, really, it's crazy. Hard times, soft times. Well, that's what I'm saying in general, right? That's where I'm at. Nursing home revolution. Yeah, and so I'm and that imbalance I think is going to become more and more pronounced as these people enter more of the public space. And I think young guys, like guys that are 15 now, are following the trend of the guys that are 25 now as well, and under 25.
Pilots.
That's what I'm noticing.
We're targeting military
Have you guys
sites,
noticed that?
nuclear sites. That's what we're doing to take out those two threats. Unlike the Iranians, who your reporter said correctly, they're targeting our civilians.
Yeah.
They're bombing our civilians. So that's the difference. They're a terrorist regime. We can't have Iran have nuclear weapons. And by the way, our intel shows that they intend to give these nuclear weapons
To who?
to their Houthi proxies and others.
I would have
And
never
that's
guessed.
nuclear terrorism on a global scale. It threatens everyone. And the last thing is they have plans to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Oh.
Right now, 8,000 kilometers, very soon, just out a little distance, and they can reach the eastern seaboard of the United States. These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice, killed 241 of your Marines in Beirut, killed and injured thousands of American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, try to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C., chant death to America, burn the American flag. Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to their cities?
Yeah.
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat, and I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that...
What? Wait, what? I never heard about this. That's a pretty bold claim. Yeah,
the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one. He's a decisive leader.
These were two qualifying statements. Through their proxies and through qualifying info. I wish he would be more specific. Hopefully he will be.
He never took the path that others took to try to bargain with him in a way that is weak, giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb, padding it with billions and billions of dollars. He took up this fake agreement and basically tore it up. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He said, made it very clear, including now, you cannot have
that was
a
in
nuclear
2018,
weapon, which
I
means
think.
you cannot enrich. He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also try to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
They
you...
understand that President Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans to weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump you were going to launch these strikes?
Look, I've been in contact
You're not gonna
constant
say.
contact
Ну,
with President
иметь
Trump.
просто.
We've known each other for many years. And obviously, we informed our American friends and President Trump, our great friend, ahead of time. He did. He knew about it, of course.
I mean, there were reports that President Trump kind of helped you achieve your strategic surprise by publicly urging you not to attack when he already knew you decided to do it.
Again, would I bet that, like, again, this is the kind of stuff that like, would Trump have done this? Absolutely, he would have done this. He would have said, okay, guys, yep, we're going to have a negotiation tomorrow. I'll see everybody tomorrow. And then, oh, wow, the negotiations didn't work out. Okay, well, I gave you 60 days, and on the 61st day, oh, wow, look, a bunch of bombs show up, and everybody that disagreed with me is dead now. That's crazy. What are the odds?
So you were close.
He's trying to implicate us in this nonsense? No. Really? Do you think that's... I think that's exactly what Trump did. Mafia tactics? Yeah. No, anytime that there is basically some sort of action that is basically a mafia tactic and Trump does it, I'm like, Yep, that's probably true. Trump, yeah, the late great Al Capone. Remember that?
Coordinating with the U.S. throughout this process.
Look, we're fully coordinated, but understand that America, under President Trump, will make the decisions that are best for America. And that's the way it is. He understands that I, as the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, must make the decisions that are important for the survival of my country, and he will do what is best for America. That is a relationship of mutual respect and mutual confidence.
Does Israel have the capacity to strike Iran's nuclear sites deep underground?
Well, we've certainly done quite a bit. We've destroyed the main facility.
Why would they say that? This is like saying, so what time are you going to attack tomorrow? What time is the sneak attack tomorrow? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they can, they're not going to say it. And if they can't, they're also not going to say it because it makes them look bad. They're never going to say it. The one and only, is there another? Oh, the Jewish state? Oh, as far as I know, like the U.S. is the only, Israel, Jesus. The U.S., Israel is the only Jewish state. That's what I meant to say. Israel is the only Jewish state.
Facility in Natanz, that's the main enrichment facility. And if we need to, we'll add whatever is needed. But yes, we're committed to achieving both goals, and I'm not going to get into all of our objectives. I don't want to get into specific operational plans, but it's our existence. But not only ours, I think it's a wider battle here.
Thanks for the clip.
Civilization against barbarism, of good against bad. I mean, this regime,
Понятно.
look at what it's done without nuclear weapons. It's just fomented evil everywhere.
I get the barbarism argument, and I understand that, and I'm not a big fan of it. But whenever I see, there's a big part of me that when I see how surgical they are with attacking Iran, and then what seems to me, again, that this could be the untrained eye, but what seems to me as indiscriminate destruction in Gaza, I feel like everybody is engaging in a little bit of barbarism here, aren't we?
I mean, they've pushed international terrorism to the hill, into every part of the Middle
different
East.
things.
I
understand.
In Iraq.
No, I
Lebanon.
understand the counter arguments. I get it. I'm just not sold. I get it. I'm just not sold.
Where they had Hezbollah, Hamas, where they encouraged the Houthis, the great massacre of October 7th, the Houthis. That's what they're doing when they don't have nuclear
Nobody
weapons,
likes
including
them.
attacking American targets. So imagine what they will do if they had nuclear weapons. And I'm always amazed at people who say they care about America and they don't want a war. They're right.
Yeah.
This is a forever war that Iran is doing without nuclear weapons. And imagine what they will do if they have them. I think for the security of Israel, America, the world, we must make sure that they don't have these weapons and the means to deliver
Then do
them.
it.
And they're working on both.
I just
We
want to
have to
ask you
stop
about the nuclear sites. Fordo nuclear enrichment facility located deep inside a mountain. These are from Iranian nuclear experts. Inside this mountain near Qom, Esfahan, deeply buried facility where Iran stores its highly enriched uranium. In some ways, experts say it might even be more important than Fordo. The IAEA says it's a half-mile deep. So I guess the question is, if the goal is destroying Iran's nuclear program, how do you do so without the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs that really only the U.S.
Я так и не поймал ни одного таунта на похуй, просто меня берут, замедляют. Классно. Чтобы мне опять нарисовать линейно топ-луз, независимо от моих действий. Усиляюсь я или нет. Если бы я сейчас не усилился, я вылетел в топ-7, топ-8 рисовано нахуй. Если бы усилился, you know. Просто на похуй.
Like, I mean, what are you doing asking this shit? What are you doing with this? No comment? Yeah, of course they asked. Obviously they would ask. And if they didn't ask, it's because they knew they wouldn't need to.
Get into my discussions with the president.
Yeah,
but
I'm not going to
understand
talk
that
about that.
His decisions are his decisions. As for these targets, we've destroyed.
One thing that I do have to say that I appreciate from this guy is that he's not entangling the U.S. with his language. I do have to appreciate that, and I'm glad to see that.
On the conversion facility they had, that's a very important
He's a
facility
long-time politician.
that, without which you can't really build a weapon. That's gone. There are other plans that we have. I won't get into it. I think Israel has shown that it has, well, how shall I say it? We're the innovation nation, we're called that, startup nation. So we have quite a few startups and quite a few rabbits up our sleeve, and I don't think that I should get into that.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so they got a bunch of he got a bunch of those little sneak attack things. They got rabbits up there. So I mean, the thing is, they did do like you don't have to don't discount these guys, bro. That pager shit that they did, that was diabolical. That was some crazy ass shit. You go and do that pager thing. So like I kind of believe him, honestly. Oh man, yeah, I didn't realize how big of an interview this was either.
Я только про это говорил на прошлой игре.
Excerpts from this earlier today, like in bed even, and yeah, this is a big deal. Mossad has a whole building for explosive drones inside Tehran, which is crazy as fuck.
Имитация хорошего захода и опорочивание хороших плеев. Эксплуатация плохих. Не по моей вине. Моральная буза.
I think he's just got to understand that, like, the U.S., especially after how long we were in the Middle East last time, don't want to get into another one of these fucking things. Because it's always, and it's never just one thing, right? Like, it's sick of it. Lost our appetite, yeah.
Там 6
towards
и
Israel,
5
as do our pilots. American THAAD missile batteries are helping defend Tel Aviv and greater Tel Aviv area. American Aegis ships are in the Mediterranean. That's all a decision by President Trump, which I deeply appreciate. Again, his decisions on what to do at any given time is the president's decision. I trust his judgment.
That's fine.
Do you have any estimate on how much you have set back Iran's nuclear program?
I think that based off of that, Trump has given them certain promises behind closed doors that he will assist them with things. Because it seems like he's no longer trying to proposition to the American people to, like, create pressure on Trump. I think it's probably already happened. Now, what are those? What is that? I mean, hopefully we don't find out, but I don't know.
I think we've set them back quite a bit. I think they were completely surprised. And, you know, surprise is a great element of success. Remember the pagers?
Yeah.
Remember Nasrallah? That's part of breaking up
True.
the Iranian axis.
True.
And we achieved that with surprise. And I think we achieved a great surprise the other day when we started. You know, we could wait and wait and wait. They'd string along the negotiations. We gave them a chance. I gave them a chance.
That's the reason why they bombed them after they planned the negotiations, is because they thought they were just fucking around. I feel like it's pretty obvious that's the reason why they did
Он
it.
пример малиметражного плея, просто он за скипом сразу же. Другому челу сразу же поощрят. Либо это никак не повлияет. Почтим. На топ-1.
Because the president was very clear. He said, you can't have nuclear weapons.
No, that person is just, again, unclear English. What he means to say is that they is Iran and not Israel. But because he wasn't clear in the way that he structured his sentence, it sounded like he meant Israel.
And in order not to have nuclear weapons, you can't enrich uranium. And they basically strung everybody along, and it was clear to us it was going nowhere. I could wait and wait and wait until they officially declared that the talks were off, or they, you know, and we'd officially declare that we're going to attack them. That's not how...
They intentionally led them to believe that they would continue talking to them to lull them into a false sense of security so they could kill them. That's obviously what happened. Duh. I mean, that's art of war stuff. I mean, come on. Like, this is... There's a book written on how to do this from 2,000 years ago.
I conduct wars.
Just
and
pay
it's
for
not
your own
Israel
bullets,
conducts
dude.
wars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're geared to do whatever is necessary to achieve our dual aim, to remove two existential threats, the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat. And we're doing that as we speak now in Tehran, but we're not bombing the population. We're telling the population, leave. So when we hit the targets embedded in civilian areas, you won't be hurt. And there's now mass migration from Tehran right now. That's what's happening.
So-
Because we're giving them forewarning.
Mr. Prime Minister, what proportion of Iranian air defenses do you think you've taken out? Back in
That's a good
October,
question.
the air defenses
That's a great
really
question.
decimated. Now you say you have kind of control of the skies as you're picking these targets, yet these missiles and drones are still coming your way as they attack.
Yeah, how the fuck did so many missiles hit yesterday? I never seen the Iron Dome fuck up that bad. That's a lot.
As you point out, civilian areas inside Israel.
Well, you're right. First of all, we're doing a lot to prevent a lot of them from coming in, but it's not hermetic. You're quite right. But when I say we have control of the skies, you correctly said that they had a very dense anti-aircraft batteries between the
That's not even a bad
western
one.
border of Iran and Tehran, and basically our incredible, there's no other word to describe it, our incredible intel guys and the Mossad, they did wonderful work to peel off the layers of protection that they had, and our pilots took them out. So we have a free highway to Tehran, and we can now pick off the targets that we need in Tehran and other places without having our planes shot down. And so far, none of them have been shot down. And I hope that continues.
I
But
thought they said one of them got shot down. Are they denying that? I guess maybe they are.
we are absolutely
Yeah, I heard at least one.
resolute to remove this threat. This is what you have to do
Who
when
knows?
you stand at the brink of catastrophe. And I think it's not just our test.
Do we
You know-
actually believe that Iran would nuke Israel even ever if they even acquire nukes? If they do that, it would be mutual mass destruction. Israel's nukes as well.
Да блять.
Iran has a history of saying things that aren't good about Israel. Things like Israel shouldn't exist. We're going to destroy Israel. We want to destroy the nation of Israel. Like things like that. I mean, that would. I mean, bro, that's kind of a lot, right?
So Churchill talked about the slumber of democracies. He said that democracies tend to sleep until the jarring gong of danger wakes them up. Well, sometimes it might not wake them up. Certainly, we didn't need a wake-up gong. I've been talking about the Iranian threat for 40 years. 3 years, I think, 4 years after the Iranian regime, the Ayatollah regime, hijacked Iran and the people of Iran. I said the greatest threat facing Israel, and potentially the world,
Блять.
is this regime that will try to arm itself with nuclear weapons. And I've devoted a considerable part of my life, in fact, most of my life.
Настя подъеба нахуй. А, Настя я спал сыграл. Ну, блядь, я рот ебал нахуй. Просто, ну, смотрите на эту душную подъебальщину нахуй, ебаную. Просто душная подъебальщина нахуй. Просто классно нахуй.
For attacking Iran, if I were in his position, I probably would have done the same thing. I mean, I can't know that because like he knows a million times more about it, but like based off of just like my layman's perspective, yeah, of course they would attack him. Yeah.
What I seek is that the entire world
Просто шаг за шагом подъеба нахуй.
is standing up for good against evil, standing up for the right against the wrong, standing up for good against bad. And I think that's very admirable. I salute you for it, President Trump.
The president's also, however, Mr. Prime Minister, calling for Iran to get back to the table.
Yeah, he definitely knows the fix is in. I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting.
You don't seem to be saying that that's worth it. How does this end?
Well, in fact, I said it is worth it if they'll do what the president wants, and that is eliminate their enrichment capacity. You know, that's a lot better than my country, my forces, my brave pilots having to do it. It's much better that our Mossad operatives on the ground having to do it. But if they don't do it, and they certainly didn't want to do it, it became very clear, we had to act. We don't wait until we have a nuclear holocaust. That's not going to happen again.
So how does it end?
Well, it'll end when we remove those capacities, and we will.
I don't think that'll matter if you remove the capacities, because you're still going to have the same exact people that are running it that are going to try to do it again or try to do something else similar to it. The problem is the people running the government there. It's not like the nuclear weapons are obviously an enabler for bad actors, but it's mainly the government there that's the problem. Regime change, yeah, that's the goal. The people will die soon too? Yeah, I mean, like the main guy will. He's 86, right? I mean, 86 is pretty old.
You stop short of killing Iran's civilian leaders, just military commanders. I mentioned nuclear scientists, but not the supreme leader.
No.
There was a Reuters report just moving saying that President Trump in the last couple of days vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader.
Oh, so he just bringing it up directly. Damn.
Two U.S. officials.
Actually, there's so many false reports of conversations that never happened, and I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you.
Ну, звери есть, блядь, дегенеры сейчас лошадок могут арестовать, еще какую-нибудь хуйню просто из воздуха. Просто классно. Зато с моей сейфплей, блядь, нахуй, блядь, просто ебал, нахуй, народ. Этого кринжа. Ну,
Yeah.
of course.
There's so many false reports. We do what we need to do. Yeah. With that answer?
They'll do what we need to do, and I think the United States knows what is good for the United States, and I'm just not going to get it.
Там, блядь, похуй. Против кота я готов проебать.
Because I think that Trump is probably worried, and this is a very fair and reasonable worry, that killing the leader of Iran will create a power vacuum in Iran that will create a destabilizing force, that will create a new terrorist organization, and now it's basically you cut off the head and now there's two more heads. Like a Hydra. Like Afghanistan. Yeah, ISIS 2.7, Taliban 2.0. No, it's Taliban like 5.3 or something. Like it's happened so many times. Like at this point, it should just be expected.
Minister today told reporters this: if Israel stops attacks on Iran, quote, our responses will stop. The attack on Iran in the midst of nuclear talks clearly demonstrates the Israeli regime's opposition to any form of negotiation. Of the canceled talks that were intended to take place today, he said Iran would have presented a counterproposal that, quote, could have opened doors for an all-out agreement with the Americans. So, again, the foreign minister saying, if you stop, they will stop. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, it's hogwash. While they were
То
negotiating,
пойдем против кота, нахуй. Против которого, блядь, я хочу проиграть, нахуй. Просто только. Просто классно. Просто мерзость, нахуй. Против кота автоматически топ-1. Там автоматический. Даже без раздумий, нахуй. Просто кяпы. Просто рафон ебало. Мерзотники. Fucking мерзотники.
Hopefully they can have like they can maintain a relationship with them after that. That, and also, but it has to be organic, right? I don't think we can change, like the US has been involved in regime change for a while,
Ну,
right?
имитация хороших счетов.
I don't know, I think we should try something different. Yeah, I think let's try
И
something
все равно
himself,
бесконечная муза, нахуй. Просто классно. Только хорош.
again and again, death to Israel. Israel must be destroyed.
Yeah.
So
Нихуя не
some good
хороших.
faith
5.
there, right?
Здесь
Aside from that, they had bad
здесь
faith
сломали,
because they were
здесь
cheating.
нихуя
We
не
saw it
хорош.
in our intel, it was very clear. And the US
Doesn't
had the
admit.
same intel. Believe me. we
And
shared
this
it.
is also discovered by a third-party organization that saw
Это вот я радуюсь за вчерашний день, это я лимитированно радуюсь, нахуй. Короче, забейте, нахуй. Забейте. Хуйню несу, блять, просто оверабизмовая, как я говорю, в соответствии с тем, с моими плеями и т.д. и т.п., с моим рейтингом и тому подобное, то, как мне просто... Чё еще раз?
They say, okay, we'll stop if you stop. Stop what? You'll continue to develop your engines of death, mass
Очень
death,
своевременно,
continue to
конечно.
develop your nuclear bombs, continue to develop the ballistic missiles like the one that fell in Tel Aviv, near Tel Aviv today. I was there, you know, the whole building just slammed through. Children sleeping in their beds,
Yeah.
killed.
Вот
Women sleeping in
генера
their beds,
имитация
killed.
действий какое-то делал, и там
Horrible
запустил
stuff.
всякого.
Yeah, they'll
После
stop and
генера
continue to
Петров.
develop the means for our extermination. That's not going to happen. So obviously, that's not said in good faith. The issue here is not de-escalation. The issue here is not ceasefire. The issue here is stopping.
So they're not, basically he's saying they're not going to stop the bombs. The bombing will continue until morale improves. Or till the regime changes. Yeah, that's basically it.
Things that will threaten our survival, and we're committed to stopping them.
You're in Greece?
And
I don't think he's in Greece anymore.
If they are willing to
I heard that he
accept
wasn't.
President Trump's terms,
I could be wrong.
that's a different matter. I said that months ago, and I said, and in my meeting with the president in Washington,
Yeah,
if you
overnight.
can get a deal that does it, fine. But he didn't, not because the president didn't want it. It's because Iran didn't want it, and they cheated.
Overnight, you expanded your airstrikes to include oil and energy infrastructure in Iran. Is that a different phase? What's the point?
Well, this was an oil container. It wasn't a production site, but it merely means that we're ready to take whatever action is needed. And of course, we'll take some of those actions in response to what Iran does to us. But as I said, our main targets are the military and nuclear targets, and we're taking them out with the precision and with purpose.
You know,
Yep,
we're not
I
hearing
respect
much
that.
harsh criticism from the Gulf Arab countries. There have been some statements. Saudi Arabia putting out, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia expresses its condemnation, strong denunciation of the Israeli attacks that targeted the Islamic Republic of Iran,
Yeah.
which violated sovereignty. These attacks represent a blatant violation of international laws and norms. That was early on.
Видео уже недоступно,
Not
то есть
much
оно было,
since
блядь,
then.
какое-то видео просто,
No,
блядь,
I don't think they really
нормально.
give a shit.
С учетом того, что, ну, происходит у меня на экране.
Yeah,
Классно.
I don't think they care. Is Saudi
Проблема.
happy about this? Yeah. Oh no. Anyway,
How do you judge?
everyone
the Gulf?
hates Iran. Yeah, it seems that way, right? And yeah, Saudi Arabia literally allowed them to use their airspace. What? Yeah. I think also, like after all those meetings Trump did with the guys in the Middle East, the last thing they want is to get behind, like, I mean, he just locked in a bunch of money for them, and they locked in like trillions of dollars of trade. They don't want to fuck that up. That's the last thing. Also, by the way, it's raining kind of hard outside, so if I go offline, that's the reason why.
Gulf states'
Raining, it
response
is.
to what's happening
It's
now.
nice. It's very nice. It's cozy.
Well, I'll leave that to them. They can speak for themselves. But I truly believe, you know, that we have a great future if we take out Iran. Iran has been the systematic fomenter of
It's not
war.
even taking out Iran. It's taking out their government. It's hated by their people.
Sabotage.
Like, I would
terrorism.
not... What do you guys think? Where do you think Iran's government has a higher approval rating? Western leftists or Iranian people? Everybody knows the answer, right? And isn't that fucking stupid? It's
They
not even
attacked
close,
Aramco,
yeah.
You know, the Saudi oil facilities.
Isn't that
they
embarrassing?
Send terrorists everywhere.
It's
Throughout
actually
the Middle
wild.
East.
I know.
So I think that I have a different conception, a different future. And it was embarked on with the help of President Trump and his leadership in the Abraham Accords, where we signed peace treaties with 4 Arab states, expanding the peace, something that wasn't done for a quarter of a century.
Damn.
And I believe that we'll have opportunities to expand the peace as well with other of the Arab states next to us. I think they understand that Iran is a mortal threat to them as well. They have their eyes on their oil facilities. They
Yeah,
want-
yeah. None of them over there like Iran. Yeah, this is the thing. Nobody likes Iran. Like, Iran's trying to ask them to help, and they're like, oh, my phone.